So there's a quote I like that says, a leader who thinks success has a parent and failure is an orphan is a bad leader. A good leader believes that success has a family and failure has a parent.
Yeah. Yeah. Come let me teach you a lesson. Come let me teach you a lesson. Label line with the tweets. Follow me back to my nest. Label line with the podcast. Teach you lesson cause I got class. Label line with the impact. You be lying, that's a real fact. Come let me teach you a lesson. Come let me teach you a lesson. Label line with the tweets. Follow me back to my nest.
Hi everyone, my name is Lebo Lion, known as the voice of marketing and your friend in all things marketing, brand building, and sometimes pop culture. And welcome to our new podcast, Let's Talk About It. We are so excited about the amazing guests that we have in store for you because, as you know, we bring you the best of the best of the best, and today's guest is no different. In fact, I think after you've engaged with our guest and heard everything that she's had to say, you're going to come back to the podcast and write notes and notes and notes and notes because she just has so much wisdom, and it doesn't hurt that she's also really beautiful. So this is really a treat, not just for the eyes, but for the mind and the soul as well. And as you know, on this podcast, we don't introduce our guests, they introduce themselves. So, Nizenande.
Hello.
Welcome to Let's Talk About It.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's such an honor.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling well. I'm feeling whole.
Yeah?
I'm feeling charged, energized, excited. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So before we get into it,
Okay.
For those who don't know you, we've got guests and viewers. We've got viewers. Sometimes we do make mistakes as well, but we do have viewers on this podcast from all over the world. We're talking Nigeria, Ghana, Namibia, Botswana, the UK, America. For those who don't know who you are, please tell them who you are and what you do.
Yes, sure. So I'm Nizenande Machi, born and bred in Johannesburg, South Africa, buttered in Cape Town because that's where I studied, but savored the world over. And how it is that I'm savored is that I teach people how to lead. And what that means is I help people mobilize and leverage their sense of power, influence, and love in order to realize their dreams and really kind of achieve their goals. What that translates to, I guess, in your workplace, because that's what a lot of people understand, whether it's in business or where it is that you work, is I'm the person that's brought in to help develop the organizational strategy. I'm the person that then advises your leaders. So I do a lot of C-level, senior level kind of consulting, program development, and then I also do the culture transformation. So how is it that we get people to buy into what this organization is building? How do we cascade that strategy? And how do we capacitate the leaders to come with us so that we can reach our targets, get to where we're going and really keep the business mission alive?
That sounds brilliant, but it also sounds really complicated, right? Because the kind of career you have is not conventional. We don't hear about it often.
Absolutely.
How did you even get into this?
That's so interesting. I love it. Look, it's not complicated, but I guess anyone on the outside can be quite confused. But I got into it from a very personal story in my own life. So when I was growing up, my father was kind of a successful executive. But I think it was in my 11th/12th grade, he lost his job. And when he lost his job, my entrepreneurial mom moved us out of our house and we turned our house into a student accommodation.
Whoa.
And then we started building a family business from there, right? The more it became successful, what became quite clear is we knew how to grow the business, but we didn't know how to work with each other. We didn't know how to think about next. So yes, we're growing, but what what happens now? And then for us as now young adults who've got degrees, we didn't know how to unlock the value of these degrees in order to think about succession planning in the family business. And so what that translated to for me was, well, this has to be about leadership. At least that will be the language I start to think about, is how do we think of the people dynamics such that the organization can still grow? And also, how do we think about the organization? How do we think about who's next? How do we build them to be able to take up next, which were some of the things they were concerned about. And then I thought, well, let me start a business to try help us solve some of these challenges as a family. And it grew from there, and it takes on different realities. Sometimes I come in, and if it's, let's say, women leaders, I come in and I'm designing the curriculum for your middle managers to become senior managers. That 12, 18 months, I set up what those milestones are. I help you think about, okay, what is the personal development plan, the leadership development plan that gets someone to their next? Because we need you to get to your next for the sake of the strategy. And then I have to understand the strategy. And we have to care about, remember, culture is simply behavior at scale. And so how do we want people to behave such that we are reaching our targets and our goals? And, so that's it, I guess, in simpler terms, and how it is that I got there. It was solving a real problem I was faced by in my personal life. That's why I like it.
Your story speaks about a lot of things that I want to touch on, and I'm trying to decide where to start.
Yes.
And for those who are watching, if it seems like Nizenande and I are very familiar with one another, it's because we went to school together. And we were very naughty at school together. So we were always giggling, laughing at the craziest things.
Yes.
And so even though we do seem like very serious women, there's a very playful part to us. And we do want to deliver this content in a way that is authentic, and for you to just understand the context of our relationship on screen, because I know it looks a bit different to my other guests. But going back to your story, I love that you speak about your dad and that challenging time that he went through that also impacted the family, right? So I've got a lot of questions. The first one is, I wanted to talk about what it's like working with family, right? Those dynamics. I think right now we're seeing a lot of that now in entrepreneurship in South Africa, especially in Black families. And that's a different dynamic to other races. So I want us to touch on that first, and then we'll touch on the other things afterwards.
Yeah. Working in family business is a little bit haphazard. It's wonderful. There's a level of trust and a level of, we are all in this together. Like, I remember I had a bursa when my degree is in finance, but I lost my bursa because I was working on my bursary, because I was working on the family business instead of doing VAC work, and VAC work was a requirement. And my parents were like, hey, we have a whole business here that needs to be built. You're studying finance. We need to benefit on the go, So there's a lot of ways that you negotiate power that sometimes you take more L's than you would prefer in the traditional workplace. But the wins are so sweet because they are shared. When we got the first house outside of our home was such a win for everybody, because it's like, wow, this thing is working. And over time you're evolving into, it's emerging as property or property development. I mean, it took on different shapes, because once you're in business really, we can expand and we can do all kinds of things. It puts a lot of relational strain as well. You don't realize you've lost intimacy, because every time you are meeting, you are talking about the business. You're not finding out how someone is doing. You're not like, what's going on? I saw last week you broke up with your friend in varsity. Oh, that boyfriend. You have to be intentional about some of those things. And then it's also, I don't know, it's interesting. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy it at different phases. So I've never always been in it, because I'm an entrepreneur. You come out, you come in. All of us, you start aside, you leave it to somebody else to run it, because I need a break from you guys. I love you, you're my family, but geez, last week you didn't pay me the invoice, you didn't pay me my money. Like, it gets strange.
Yeah.
And you need to recalibrate. But it's incredibly rewarding. And what I'm realizing now that I'm older is it's so much legacy building work and sustainability work that I don't have to start too much from scratch. Perhaps I did to some degree, but I'm seeing my kids won't have to. And how do we translate that to not be something that is forced for them either? Because I had the latitude to run my own business. And then at some point you're like, no, this business must come back home, and benefit us, which is a big part of where I find myself even now. So yeah, it's dynamic. That's what I can say.
The dynamism is really tricky to navigate for a lot of people.
Yes.
And I guess my question is, and I'm saying I guess because I'm trying to frame it.
Form it, yeah.
How did you develop a sense of identity, even within that family structure where you guys are almost forced to have one mind in how you build things?
And be conformist.
And
you can be quite subject to groupthink, you're right, because you're making the same decision. It's like an echo chamber.
Yes.
If someone says let's, you're like, yeah, and then you've lost money. And it's like, none of us knew that was a bad decision. Exactly. So, what I'm very grateful for is to have had the freedom to do my own thing. And that's for all of us. Also, the dynamics changed when my father passed away. And how it was largely formed also was in the fray, was with my stepmom. So consolidating some of that work, I'll call it work just to be neutral, needed a renegotiation of terms of business. And one of the best renegotiations we've all ever made is at the start, we almost feel like we have to do this for each other. This is our way of having one another's back. And remember, to some degree, ours started from survival. We had to keep going. Yes, we downsized considerably. I often say, like, I'm not scared to downsize in the face of business because you can recover. It's how business works. If you apply yourself, there'll be an outcome, right? But there was this like real undergirded belief that I have your back. We owe each other this. Ride or die, until we got enough distance to decide what we want, what we like, what we don't like, and come back and renegotiate a little bit more as adults. And not only my parents were adults, but also as mature people who are all bringing something to the table. To say, I think this is how it works. This is how I would like to plug in, mommy. This is how, there were times where I would employ my sisters, not employ, then they're employing me. And it's like, what are we trying to do here? Everyone has their own separate identity. We must first we've attached safely. Let's allow ourselves to get that independence so that we're coming back to the table to amplify what everyone is busy doing, not build this one soul thing, that was mom and dad's.
Yes.
That in all its intents and purposes went through its own successes and failures that we didn't then need to share in till the death, So yeah, I would say that's one of, I guess in its dynamics, you have to renegotiate. There comes a time where you have to renegotiate the terms, especially with your parents, or it's always a reward and a debt. It's like, I don't owe you. We are all working now, and how do we build together, so.
Renegotiating the conditions, the terms.
Yes.
Your father passes away.
Yes.
The terms change.
Oh, man.
What was going on in your heart, in your mind at the time?
It was turbulent. It was really turbulent, Lebo. because it's always good to have a male figure that is present and strong. We're all girls. So it's my stepmom, my mom as well, and then it's 3 girls, 1 boy, and 2 others. So there's 6 of us. And the others are still quite young. But the 3, 4 of us are the adults, in inverted commas. And I remember the first point of transition was, well, what does it mean? Who has a stake? Who doesn't? Who leads now and on what terms? And what do we do? You know, and it got uncomfortable, not because anything is ill-intended, but because we were transitioning, and we don't know how to do that while we were grieving. One thing I'm grateful to my mom for is she said, we're grieving. I'm going to grow businesses. You've lost your father, you know, and you're at liberty to just have lost your father and tap out if you want to, or don't tap. It's up to you, you know. Then at some point, you know, people's partners are trying to work in and consult and try figure it out. So it became a little nebulous. It became a little unsure. We were feeling our way through it. It was almost like groping our way into clarity. And we got a lot of things wrong. I think we hurt each other in different ways because we were also hurting, but it allowed our repair to be very deep and meaningful. You know, there's a strength of real relational success that is now shared over, like I said, a business is a business, but now we are with each other because we want to be, not because it's just a family I was born into and I had to survive with them. And, you know, now it's like, no, I'm here because I like you guys and I care about you.
Is there a proper way to grieve?
No.
No.
I've heard, 5 steps? Hey, I'm not trying to be careless about it. I can see them as indicators, but there's no formula to this thing. It's so messy. It's unbridled pain, you know, and it demands to be felt. It's probably the way it makes a demand. It doesn't stop knocking. It will scream and shout until you feel it, and you're so scared to feel it because you don't know if you can come out of it because it's so consuming. One of the best pieces of input I got when I was struggling, I really struggled to grieve the death of my father. I couldn't allow myself, for various reasons, but I couldn't understand what's going on. As a person who likes to understand, I was like, what is going on with me, you know? And I remember someone said, because one day I'm fine, and then one day I'm on the highway, it's raining. I lived through a day thinking my dad was still alive. The whole day I was like, I have to call him. And then I have to pick up just ordinary life. Like, I have to call him. We have to check in on this thing. I have to see if anyone's home because I want to drop off honey. And then I was like, no, it's not going to happen. And you are harrowing like it happened yesterday. You know, so it's like a stone in your pocket. You learn to live with it over time. You know how to sit, to configure such that it doesn't hurt you. But if you forget, you can sit right on top of the stone and it will hurt like it was just put yesterday. So if we can have grace for ourselves in that way, I think we are better off, you know.
And you also spoke about repair. Is there a way to repair? Especially as a woman entrepreneur, when you're not there, things are not happening. right?
man.
So the pressure to repair is really deep. It's profound. It's there every single day.
Yeah.
And you can see time going. You can see the money getting smaller because you have not repaired. So
It's true.
how do you repair? How do we navigate repair as women entrepreneurs?
Yes. I think the best way, especially because I've built, I'd like to steer away a little bit from the family as someone who's built an entrepreneurial career of my own that is of value. One of the ways that I care about repair is being honest. I think it's very difficult to repair without honesty. Not only honesty about as a victim, but also honesty as the perpetrator. If you can't take ownership for how you contributed to where we are, we will struggle to move forward. Like, no matter how hard we try, there is a level of I want to call it accountability. It's always front of mind, but also honest consideration that requires you to, let me phrase it like this. Tell me everything you already know. And let me decide if I want to, don't want to, repair, don't repair, forgive, don't forgive. But you have a responsibility to tell me all you know. We spend more time wanting to tell you the ways that you hurt me, and we keep internal to ourselves like, hey, I should have though checked the bank statements often. I also didn't. To have that level of vulnerability to say to someone, even in their own perpetration, that I'm also aware, and I'm so sorry I let you down in that way. I think I put a lot of pressure on you to keep needing to be on top of this kind of thing. The reason I care about the information in its fullness as best as possible, it's hard, is then we're giving ourselves equal opportunity and fair opportunity to decide how we move on. Tell me everything you do know. What do you know? What are you clear about? What are you sure about? And that's that level of honesty. And then we can see. It's not easy work. I think it's also like, it's long work. It's you'd rather be running out of money because you're busy repairing for those 3 months than be running out of money because you're busy avoiding for those 3 months.
Say that again. I love that. That's a quotable.
Well, yeah, in business, I think when things get hard, you'd rather be, I'll use running out of money. You'd rather be running out of money because you're busy repairing than running out of money because you're busy avoiding the problem.
What does avoidance look like? Because to some people, repairing and avoidance can look like the same thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Or we can
can
fool ourselves into thinking we are repairing when we're actually avoiding.
Yes.
And we are very good.
And
I know
avoidance.
as women, we're very good at making things seem like what they're not.
Yes.
To soothe our own egos,
Yes,
to
like
give
that.
us time to procrastinate the work. So what does avoidance look like?
You know what I like to say? So in business, in particular, if there's something, let's say you and I are in business, if there's something I really want to say, and it's bubbling in me, and I choose to say it to someone else, we're avoiding. The person who must hear it is you. And I like how you say avoidance and repair can look the same, because both can be quite volatile. We could be fighting.
Yes.
But a lot of avoidance, you end up fighting about the thing that isn't happening. Rather fight about the actual thing that's happening. Fight about the fact that I don't trust you.
Yes.
Not, I don't understand why you put your laptop down so hard. It's a hard day already. It's like, geez, it's a laptop. Why are you so mad? You're always mad. What's going on? I don't like breathing the same air as you. That's how much I don't trust you. I feel quite hurt by you. You betrayed my trust. You went behind the client's back and you did X, Y, Z. The thing that I always say, it's okay to vent to the right people. Oh, choose your venters carefully, And I guess I know it because in family business, like, your mother, please speak to her, your father, But it cannot end there. The person has to know themselves. You have to tell them, or else you've avoided it. I can't speak about Lebu to somebody else, and Lebu never finds out if she's my business partner, and finds out from me, please.
Yes.
She has to find out from me. She has to hear it. She has to hear it ideally immediately after. Sometimes bouncing something off someone trusted, ideally, for me, it's also a wiser voice, because if it's peer level, it can quickly reduce to gossip. And then I'm busy talking about my business partner, and that's terrible, I've broken our vault of trust. But to call someone and say, I'm so mad, you get a little bit of perspective. Also, you know yourself, if you come in too hard, it's going to turn someone. Go and tell her this, that, and the other. And broach it like this so that you have a soft startup. But I would say that would be my big differentiator between avoidance and repair. It does need a level of, I wish there was a kinder word than confrontation, but it does need a level of facing things as they are. And you know what the hardest part of repair is? People assume when we say we're repairing is we must stay together. It doesn't mean that. It just means that we're going to talk about this and figure out what's the best plan of action. We might have changed. We might want different things and we don't know how to tell each other. We might have harbored something from 2020 and it's 2026 and we don't know how to navigate it. I also believe in mediation in certain relationships. And when I say mediated discussions, not like the law,
Yes.
In certain instances, get someone to help you start to talk, because it can be so far gone that you don't even know how to talk without trying to consume each other in some really painful fires of wrath and jealousy and anger and envy.
Yes.
So
I love what you just said.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping people at home can hear it for what it is, because these are very complex concepts that we're talking about.
Yes.
And we're brushing over them honestly, because we could go very deep, but we don't have time to go as deep as we'd like to. So you must follow Niz on Instagram, LinkedIn, all the platforms, so you can see everything she writes about it in her lives and everything, where she really goes deep into these concepts. But I want to go back to leadership,
Yes,
right?
please do.
You're a leadership expert. I'm going to call you that. Yes, it's more nuanced, but you're a leadership expert. You understand the dynamics of leadership.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people who follow this podcast, to our viewers, are entrepreneurs, professionals. And one thing people always talk about here is about how hard it is to navigate corporate because of this boss, because of that boss, And yes, we can touch on that. But what I really want to touch on is self-leadership, right? Because a lot of us don't realize that everything starts with self.
Yes.
Regardless of the environment that you're in. Can we talk about that? You can guide us through it, because I wouldn't know where to start with the concept of self-leadership.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a belief, and it's a quote of mine, and I say, the highest form of leadership is self-governance. You cannot be a better leader than you are a person. So if you want to start to understand what your leadership is going to amplify, you need to understand your personhood. How do I live with myself, with others, in business, in community, in romantic relationships, in friendships, whatever, right? And when you can start to understand, I'm going to give you a very simple way to understand leadership. Leadership ideally is about ownership. Okay? Is what do I have, whether tangible or conceptually, that I have given instruction and must operate on my terms. It must work the way I need it to work, right? So when we're talking about self-leadership or self-governance, what we're talking about is, how do you own your own self? How do you own your own life? How do you own your life? What does that look like? Ownership is not earnership. Earning your life is someone must reward you for something that you do. Owning your life is you're an initiator. No one is going to pay me to brush my teeth. I use that as an example. That's a real sense of ownership I have over my teeth. No one's going to, I don't need anyone to pay me to tell me about my self-worth. I have to initiate what that looks like and means to me. And you can keep expanding and expanding. You can go to your thoughts. You can go to your emotions. You can go to the different roles now that you play, because strip yourself of the roles. I like to say owning your life starts with, if you were an isolated human who was in a room and the only person you could relate to was yourself, what would that look like? That's the first part. How do you relate to yourself and have a sense of ownership over yourself? Some people don't have an ownership over themselves. You don't know how to mobilize yourself. You don't know how to influence yourself to eat a decent meal. You are so at the whims of the temptations of, waffles every day, all the time, forever. You haven't learned how to, for your own good, for your own self, on your own terms, with nobody being there. No matter externalities, they are relevant, but I don't want to spend too much time there. And then you keep going into the other roles. How do I own myself in my relationship with Lebu? Ideally, for me, the best relationships that I have are people who have a sense of ownership of their own lives. Because it's so magical. We have boundaries, it's nice, we giggle, we flourish, and no one is trying to be the other. There's a real sense of honor and respect, because you're like, wow, you're amazing, and I'm amazing. We're so amazing, When you said in your intro, and she's beautiful, I wanted to be like, have you seen yourself? Because it's wonderful.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you are that takes away from me.
There's nothing that you are that takes away from me.
Absolutely.
I wish so many women could hear that. My Lord. Anyway, let's continue.
But it's more of the same thing. Then it's how do you, because once you own, it's nice, you understand this, you're a business owner. Once you own, we come to the table with our thoughts, our terms, our ways, and we negotiate. So you move around life negotiating, trying to influence. It's like even with friends, friend, I can't do it like this. But we're constantly finding ways now to form together on terms that work for us both. Ideally. We get it wrong, we're human, we're imperfect. But that's the joy of ownership. And that's why I want everyone to lead. Wherever it is that you are, lead. Can everybody lead people? Everyone has the capacity to. Should everybody lead? No. A lot of people haven't even learned how to lead themselves, let alone how to lead me or you. And that's where a lot of harm is caused, especially in women in leadership in different ways.
What are some characteristics of bad leadership?
So there's a quote I like that says, a leader who thinks success has a parent and failure is an orphan is a bad leader. A good leader believes that success has a family and failure has a parent. What I mean by that is, for me, my measurement, there's a Lao Tzu quote I absolutely love. I'll paraphrase. He's a Japanese or Chinese master, what do they call them? He's not samurai.
Isn't he samurai?
I think
thought
so.
He was a samurai, yeah.
Right? And he says, a leader is best when, after he's done all the work and the task has been reached and the vision has been realized, the people look and say, we did it ourselves. So the best leaders are the people who allow people to take ownership of what's happened. If I can amplify my sense of ownership such that it's yours, you start to own yourself, you own your work, you own your tasks, you own whatever, you own how do I get people I need to build my vision to build it as though it's theirs. I mean, that is powerful stuff, because that's a sense of ownership. When we say to our teams, I need you to take ownership of this project, what we're saying is deliver on it as though it's yours. And then you're allowed to negotiate ownership, even in those instances, ideally. And so I would say that's one of them. And then a leader, this is the hard part people don't like. You must always be willing to be the face of the slack. You must always be willing. Someone who drops, I mean, Lebo, you work with me, you and I were both founders, we're sitting at a table, we're negotiating, and you say to me, Niz, the last time we tried to do this, the deal fell through because of X, Y, Z. And I say, no, it was my employee. I mean, I can't say it's my employee. I have to say, I can understand how that happened. I really did let us down. And so you have to be willing to be the face of the bad things. Does that mean you don't go back and make people account, fix it, be honest, repair? No, that doesn't mean that at all. But good leaders are willing to say, it's me. It's me. When your team member, I mean, I ran a series, they were in a financial institution, one of the largest institutions, people working in IT, and one of the leaders was so moved, they had literally dropped the ball. He had dropped the ball. He was terrified. He went into a meeting with the boss's boss, didn't get a chance to speak to his boss. The boss literally said, it was me. He had no context. He was learning about the problem in the accountability meeting.
Wow.
And he says, I was so moved, nothing has inspired me to be good at my job. Like someone I know will take the slack. Does it always work like that? No. But what it showed me in that instance was there was a level of relational ability, honesty, accountability. It was like, after that, my boss, sat on my neck, right? A lot happened. We were honest. It was tough to get, but I allowed it because he just had my back 2 seconds ago. So I wasn't mad that he was mad. I was actually like, you're right, I'm sorry. He really dropped the ball. I think, geez.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? But that's a really big deal that matters. And you want to know that that's what your leader can do.
They have your back.
They have your back, Lebo.
It's a team.
It's a team. We win together.
And we lose together.
And we lose together.
Oh, there's so much that I'd like to ask you and talk to you about, but unfortunately we've run out of time.
Wow.
I know. It literally went by so quickly.
That was quick.
We need you back again.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah, because we need to talk about relationships, marriage, friendships, being a woman, all these things that Niz articulates so well. You won't know that you needed that perspective until you hear her say it.
Powerful.
So we definitely need you to come back.
I'm excited.
But to end off this conversation, and I think the root of it is leadership, self-leadership, being a team player, a sense of identity, all of those things. What is the one message you want people to leave with from watching this conversation?
I want people to learn to own their lives. Learn to own your life. I think a lot of the pain we subject ourselves to is we are waiting for someone to give us permission to be happy, to be beautiful, to be worthy, to be secure. You're not going to earn a successful life. You build it, you own it. It's yours. You construct it on your terms, in your way, and you make sure you're damn good at it and you succeed in your way. Own your life.
You're not going to earn a successful life. You're going to build it.
Yes.
It's all on you.
Absolutely.
And God.
And God. That's an important thing.
And God.
We have to add that just in case it's pride. It's
and
like
God.
God most important.
Yes. And before we end this, please can you just explain why God is part of that equation?
Yes. Because we didn't self-create. The whole reason, depending on what you believe, I believe God created us. And I believe that part of being a created thing is in your becoming that which you were created to be, you have to acknowledge the thing that made you. You just have to. It's strange that something that started outside of your own power and ability, now you want to end in your own strength and ability. You cannot make yourself. That should create a level of power. We like to say power must be subjected to power. Even the grandest power you have, subjected to the power of God. Because at a minimum, He made you.
I love that, because basically you said, build yourself, which is becoming.
Yes.
But God already made you, so you're becoming what He made you.
There we go.
Amen. We're very smart on this podcast.
We are. I love it for us.
I love it for us too. Nizenande, thank you so much for joining us on Let's Talk About It. I can't wait to have you back again, because this can't be the last time. And I wish you all the best in your business endeavors and your family and everything. You're amazing, and thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Lebu. You are spectacular.
Thank you.
And I'm so grateful to have had even this conversation. I look forward to more.
Yeah.
Keep flourishing. We need you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, we need you.
Guys, as you know, we end the podcast the same way every single time. So say it with me now. The best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And until our next episode, don't forget to follow us on all our socials at Let's Talk About It, at Leboline SA. And you can also follow Nizenande. We'll show her handle on the screen. See you next time. Toodles.
Bye.
Hi, tribe. This is a kind reminder to ask you to like, share, subscribe, and do the things that you need to do to get this podcast to reach the right people. We want to grow this community and elevate it to greater heights, and we need your help to do this. If you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, please click the link in our bio to subscribe so you can get all things marketing, brand building, and mindset in our weekly EIM newsletter. And don't forget to keep checking in our link when we have events and masterclasses. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Come let me teach you a lesson. Come let me teach you a lesson. Label line with the tweets. Follow me back to my nest. Label line with the podcast. Teach you lesson cause I got class. Label line with the impact. You be lying, that's a real fact. Come let me teach you a lesson. Come let me teach you a lesson. Label line with the tweets. Follow me back to my